Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the What Juices You podcast. My name is Brady Wilson, and I am joined today by Julie Dupont. She is a facilitator, she is a coach, she is a team builder, and she is very involved in our world, but has her own thriving practice as well. And it's my privilege today, Julie, to get into a conversation with you about what juices you. And so what is that fuel that you wake up with in the morning? You don't have to fuel it, it fuels you. And you've learned in life that it is just like a reliable, sustainable source of energy for all the good things that matter. And it's possible that we get into that conversation and there are things maybe that happened to you earlier on, like when you were a young woman or a girl, that caused that to be such a powerful and an important form of energy for you. So please give yourself permission if you want to tell stories, and please give yourself permission if you don't want to. But we're just going to have a wonderful conversation and give our listeners a chance to have the beautiful treat of getting to know you. So I'll start with that question. What is it that juices you?
Thanks, Brady. It really comes down to being able to make an impact in people's lives. And you know, what got me interested in doing the work I do is looking at the difference between those people who would come in from a work day, talk about how, you know, it was tough slogging, they had little energy left for their families, for their communities. You know, they're coming in, they're kicking the cat, they're yelling at the kids, right? And it was just like, wow, okay. And they lived for Friday. They lived for the weekend. Sunday came and it was a wasted day because they were dreading the next day. And the pain that really comes with that, contrasted with those people who would come in after a day at work, still tired, still exhausted, but feeling fulfilled, feeling like what they did that day mattered, and having energy left over to be present with their families, to be able to still give and want to give back to their communities. And, you know, Sunday would come, and rather than feel dread about the next day, would start to feel curious about the next day, right? Gee, I wonder what's going to be in store for me tomorrow or this week. And just hearing the differences in the comments that people would make, that made me so curious about what is it going on at work that is so different. These people are having such different experiences. And so as I started learning more and more about leadership and team dynamics, really starting to clue in, that's what it is. It's the difference between that person who feels seen, heard, valued, really noticed by their leader, and the other that felt like a cog in a wheel. And so I wanted in on that. I want to figure out, how do I work with leaders to help them see the tremendous impact that they have on the people around them?
It almost sounds like at the beginning, it was a puzzle to be solved. Like, I hear all this and I see all of this and I feel the pain of it. And in contrast, I hear all of this and it sounds amazing. What is happening in both of these situations, and how do I make sense of it? Was it a puzzle to be solved, or was it, no, I just see people that I want to help and I feel the pain of that, so I'm going to pitch in any way that I can. What was it for you?
Probably a little bit of both. Recognizing that I've been curious about the psychology of human behavior since grade 11. I'll never forget the day I was in class and, you know, the teacher was talking about something very different. And I went, oh my goodness, this is it. I want to know how to make workplaces better. And we were talking about communication, and it was like an experiment around how hard communication is. And it was like, wow, this is so neat. This is so cool. And just learning about, you know, what an impact it can make when people learn the skills that make them effective or not.
You're 16
really
or 17 at that point.
Yeah.
That is quite the realization for that age. So your course was being charted at that point. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, I was lucky. I was lucky. I knew what I wanted to do, and I went ahead full force and did everything I could to be able to do it. And I'm very grateful that I get to do this work that I absolutely love and I'm so passionate about in terms of just helping make the workplace a better place, a place where people actually want to be versus just have to be.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the journey that took you from the 16-year-old high school students, like, this is what lights me up. Uh, and then what happened next? Give us a bit of the journey and the arc of the story for you.
So recognizing, as I mentioned, that interest that I had in the psychology of human behavior, enrolled in, did my undergrad was in psychology, general psychology. And then it was in third year, I'm driving to school and I hear on the radio, scientists have found, or researchers have found, that having trees in the workplace increases happiness and productivity. And the light bulb went off, right? That's it. I want to learn about how bringing nature into the workplace helps people be productive. And so I went to see the environmental earth sciences chair, department chair, and I said, I want in on your program. I want to do a minor in environmental earth sciences. And he said, you're a psych major. How is this? And I'm like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so, did that. And our first round of exams, when they put a bunch of rocks in front of me and I had to name rocks, I quickly realized that I'm not interested in geology. I'm not interested in naming rocks. And so I went to the department chair of the psych department and said, you got to help me. I signed up for this major in psych and a minor in environmental earth sciences. And she says, why? What is the connection? I said, because I want to figure out why bringing trees to the workplace makes people happy. And she said, she says, oh, you're talking about industrial organizational psychology, workplace psychology. There is such a thing. Maybe you should look into that. And so that was like, poof, for me. And yeah, from there, realizing that, want to do a master's in industrial organizational psychology, which is all about workplace psychology, things from like team dynamics and justice in the workplace and all of these things, but leadership being the one that really, and team dynamics, those two being the two that really, really lit my fire. And so did my master's in that. And then, all the education I've done since has been just to keep bolstering that knowledge and skill set.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what happened for you just pre-COVID and then COVID. So I'm kind of picturing you doing leadership training and development, working with teams and helping them perhaps move from being fractured and disintegrated to being effective and high performing. And all of a sudden we've got this little blip called COVID. What happened for you there?
Yeah, for me, it really was the pivot of having to take training online,
Yeah.
right? And the programs that I deliver tend to be highly experiential. I'm not huge on lecture. I don't like it. People don't like it. It's boring. And so, finding ways to take, how do I get this experience to translate well into online learning? And, at first believing it can be done and then successfully doing it and actually having people come back and say, we want to continue this even when the classroom's opened again, right? They found it such a different dynamic and being able to do things we couldn't normally do in person.
Interesting.
Recognizing still that there are tons of perks to in-person training as well. But just being able to pivot that way was a big change for me, and just realizing that, yes, there is a lot of value in having eyeball to eyeball conversations, when people picking up a sandwich, that they're having, a conversation at the snack table.
Yeah.
That isn't happening online. But also having a way for people to have breakout rooms and conversations that felt a lot more intimate when there weren't 5 other groups that's surrounding them, creating extra noise. And so that was one of the big learnings for me, was just taking it online, but not losing any effectiveness or impact.
Right. Now, you and I have sat and had lunch together, and your ability to connect in person is pretty astounding. And I bet you get that a lot. But so you've got this, I would guess, you're saying what juices you was making an impact for people who, I'm going to put my language on it, who feel stuck, who are working hard and coming home with nothing left over and can't necessarily see their way clear to how they might change that. And you work with them to make a difference and to make an impact. So I would imagine that in that journey with people, the face to face and the level of human connection and the trust comes out of that. So you did learn how to pivot. You did that through the virtual platforms. What had to change for you? Was there a cost for you to deliver without that level of crazy, what you get when you're proximal to someone?
Short answer, yes. Yes. Was there a cost? Absolutely. So not sure if you know disc styles, but my disc style is ID. And so the I in me who loves to be with people, collaborating, enthusiastic, high energy, that suffered a great deal, right? That was really hard to be able to, or to have to sit in front of screen and engage that way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that made it really hard. And as soon as, of course, things lifted, man, I was the first one out there saying, hey, we need to have coffee again. We need to be able to see eyeball to eyeball again. Yeah.
And did things open up for you in terms of, you're probably doing like, what is it, half and half now? What is the ratio for you in terms of delivering to teams and leadership groups online and then face to face?
It's actually a lot more face to face. I deal with a lot of customers. A lot of my clients are in manufacturing, and so there isn't the opportunity to do a lot of remote work that way. And so their people have been together for quite a while, and so being able to step back in and be with people in real life is such a treat. And working with people, allowing them to see that there's a different way. I mean, sometimes manufacturing's got a bad rap, right? In terms of their outdated practices, and being able to step into these environments where people are like, yeah, we're not into that airy fairy. And I'm like, I know, neither am I. What we're going to talk about are some really hard things. Right. And removing this language of soft skills, because it's not soft. It's hard. It's hard because it's hard to do and it's got a hard impact. And so, helping these people see that there's a better way, that you don't have to slog. You don't have to feel like you're dragging your feet and people are unmotivated. You have more power than you realize. So that is like, that lights my fire, right? That's where I get my passion from.
So somebody for whom that is their juice, what are some of the favorite stories you have about the impact that you're able to make or the difference you were able to make in either a team's life or an organization's or an individual's? Anything that just pops to mind as, this is one of those that I just keep telling myself because it just reminds me why I do this work.
Oh, it's a couple. So here's one. There was one time I'm at a Costco with my husband, we're shopping, and you run in, you see people. And it was somebody who had come to a class, and he walks over quite speedily over to me with his partner in tow. And he says, oh my goodness, I'm so glad you're here, which was weird. He says, I get to introduce my wife to you. And I said, oh, I extended my hand, Julie, nice to meet you. And he says to her, this is the woman who's changed my work world.
Oh my God.
And it was like, oh, that's very kind. And she says, oh my goodness, it's so nice to meet you. Because of you, I have noticed this change in my husband where he doesn't snap so quickly anymore. I've noticed this increase in his patience. It's not always there, but I've noticed it and I love it. And I want to thank you. And it was like, wow, like I don't teach patience. I do teach emotional intelligence skills, right? Self-management skills. And I thought this is how it's showing up for him authentically. And it was like, that is awesome. I love that. And so that is such a feel-good story, right? Having a down day, I got to remember that one, and it definitely lifts me up.
Yeah, you cannot manufacture something like that. He's not on the couch as much, and his fuse is much, much longer. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of leads us to, I think, the second question, and there will be a third as well. The second question is, when you are in your sweet spot, when you're in the zone, when you're in a state of flow, and people are fully experiencing Julie Dupont, what is it that they are experiencing? What is your juice for the world?
Mm. Here's what I've been told.
Yeah.
What people appreciate about what I do, and I'm going to use a classroom setting in this
Okay.
example. What people appreciate what I do is the energy and enthusiasm that I bring
Mm.
to what I teach, and
Yeah.
so they appreciate that I believe in what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They feel I communicate it well, and there's also this feeling that I do care about them. Like they feel like you're not there to just kind of shake a finger at us, that you actually care about our growth as individuals. You care about our success as leaders. And I couldn't tell you, Brady, what it is I'm saying or doing in that moment that makes them feel that way. But I have heard that a few times now where they do feel like there's a real desire on my part, which this part is true, to make a connection with them. Like I really want to, this isn't about me stepping in, playing a role that is going to disappear. It's really around being a support person. I want them to know that, yeah, we're here to have this discussion right now, but it doesn't have to end here. Right. And so that as they're asking their questions around, does that really happen, Julie? Are you being serious about this? Right. And just kind of saying, well, yeah, let me tell you some stories about when I've seen this happen and what the impact was. And then challenge them to try it out for themselves. And then come back and tell me what happens. So I'm
Yeah.
not telling you just go do it, but I want you to try it. Tell me what happens. If it's an epic fail, let's talk about it. And if it's an amazing success, please let's talk about it. Right? And I tell them, I don't want this just to be about platitudes. I
Sure.
want this to be real in your life.
It feels to me like there's a crazy amalgam of energy, and you really believe in the stuff, and you really care about the people, and you're going to challenge them, and those four things together create some really significant connection, quality connection with people that allow you to get to that I'm making an impact in the world. Is that it? Like the energy, the belief, the care, the challenge. Is that kind of the way you roll in a room?
Yes,
And
and the
let me
growth.
ask, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to ask one more question after this.
Well, it is all those things, and just my focus on their growth, right? And so the challenge is never to try to make them think they don't know anything. Like it's never, the challenge is always, let's push you just a bit further. Let's take you just a little bit more out of your comfort zone. When you think that this is not something that's done, let me show you how it is, and challenge you to try it.
Yeah.
To really try it, right? Again, just that slight push. It's not I'm not shoving you over the edge. It's usually just a gentle nudge.
I almost feel like you could show up and you're not thinking, I've got to be energetic, and you're not thinking, I got to care about these people. You're not thinking, oh, I really have to believe in my material. And oh, and let's remember also, I need to challenge. Like these things are your way of being in the world. So, in one sense, all you need to do is bring the Julie, right? And if you bring the Julie, probably good things are going to happen. It's not that those things are not resident inside you somewhere in terms of, yeah, I got to make sure that there's a sense of credibility and that I really believe in this stuff. But is it for you at this point in your career, just be yourself in a way that is incredibly authentic, and probably good stuff is going to show up in the room? Is it feeling that there's a sense of ease and flow like that?
Now, yes.
Mm.
It wasn't always.
No.
But yeah, through the many experiences I've had where sometimes it was really easy, and again, I also believe in being able to model what practice what you preach, right? And that is easy to do when everything is smooth. You have the classroom, you got the discussions, everything's going along, but it's those times where something really unexpected happened, where I have to look at it in one of two ways, either seeing this challenge as an opportunity or as a problem. And recognizing in that moment, my classes were usually about 25 people. So I've got, 25 sets of eyes checking to see what's going to happen, and being able to step into that and role model. I would usually tell them after we did do a brief, hey, how did I do with that? But doing that debrief around, what was easy about that, what was hard, what looked hard, what seemed hard, what was hard, and just bringing that to people. It's like, yeah, I won't always get it right either. But there was something around the value, bringing value to them, and using those opportunities wherever I could to say, leadership's hard. Like, it is hard, right? And just being real with people. I think that makes it
I
easy.
don't always get it right either. Do you get called by family members or friends, or it's like, wait a second, don't you teach this stuff? Do you ever get that? And what's that look like for you?
There's only one person who really gives me a hard time about it, and that's because he's thinking of following in those footsteps. So he's doing all the reading and things like that. And so he'll be like, and that's my son. And so, yes. So he'll be like, hey, right. I'm not seeing all that stuff right now. And it's like, I get it. I know. I'm, searching for excellence, but perfection is unattainable. So, lighten up, kiddo. But,
Exactly.
but for the most part, I think other than that, I think there's been a progression. There's been growth in my own life, or there's been an evolution, right? So, was I always like this? Absolutely not. And as I learned it and as I practice it, and I will tell you, I hear the opposite, where my husband will be like, do you not have to, can you just not use your work stuff on me? Like, can we just not, can we just, talk like normal? You don't have to use all these like questions and stuff. And it's like, but it's important. Like, it's important to me that that I am practicing what I preach, that I am using what I know. And I guess it's uncomfortable because there's growth for him too. And growth is not easy either. I get that.
Yeah. We're in, I don't want to put too heavy a stamp on this, but it's 2025. That means different things to different people. What is your wish for the world, Julie?
Oh, wow.
It may already be in what you said, that people come home and have energy left over, but it may be something much broader than that. It might be something like, societal wish, a worldwide wish. It might be a very deep, deep wish for, what is it that you wish for people?
It would have to be love first. Just love first. If you're, before you say something, before you do something, just ask yourself, is this in line with what love would look like? And I know we don't usually use that language at work.
Mm-hmm.
There has been the odd time, very, very seldom, but there's been the odd time where I have used that language in the classroom and then, looked for reactions, and I've not had backlash yet, not yet, but I also don't do it, morning of day one.
Exactly.
So being strategic about it. But I really do think it comes down to, if we can just love first, there wouldn't be I think a lot of what we see today just wouldn't be there. So many of the problems that we have. It's a simple answer, but
It's a beautiful
what I
answer.
come up with.
You probably know, or you may not know, that I wrote a book called Love at Work. And it was a big flop. The world wasn't ready for it. It was what was it, 2000 and it doesn't matter, like maybe 2010, 2012, whatever. And I thought, the world is ready for this word love. I was doing a lot of work in policing, and it was funny teaching staff sergeants and detectives and superintendents and whatnot. And they had no issue whatsoever saying, "Oh, I love my officers." Zero issue whatsoever. And I thought, if they can say it there, and people in the army can say it, then could we learn how to say that word in the workplace? But I didn't have any success. But I really love that's your wish. That, and again, you don't say it on, the morning of day one, but somehow and somewhere in your journey with people, it sounds like in the right moment, if it's appropriate, you actually do bring that up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it underpins everything that I teach. I mean, at the foundation of all of it, good leadership is just loving your people well.
Mm-hmm.
But that looks different to different people, and to some, it feels risky. And so we acknowledge that too, right? It's about talking about what, again, I'm not using the word love liberally in my classes, but it really comes down to, how are you loving yourself well so that you can love others well? And so
Mm-hmm.
we talk about that in terms of skill development, in terms of growth, in terms of self-management, self-awareness, right? Are you taking care of yourself?
Mm-hmm. We've got a word in English, love, that has got a lot of different meanings, right? It's like, I love chocolate. I love Tuscany. I love my dog Phoebe. I love my grandmother. I love this new person that I'm dating. It's like every one of those has got a very, very different meaning. Uh, if I was to ask you, when you're talking to people in your sessions and you're talking about love and love yourself first, etc., and you were to be put on the spot for a definition, what would it be?
Oh, feel like I'm on the spot for that definition now.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting because I agree with you that there are very many meanings.
When I think about it, and I'm not wanting to put words in your mouth, but just give you a chance to reflect for a second, I use the language holding out for someone's highest good, because it sidesteps the, oh, is this erotic love, or is this, you know, ecstatic love, or just no, it's just, could you just hold out for someone's highest good, and have them hold out for your highest good, and that'll get you kind of close enough to love. But yeah, just wondering, this is your wish for the world. What sort of way would you define it?
Can I steal your definition? Because I love it. That works beautifully. There we go. That works beautifully. That works beautifully, and it makes a lot of sense to me, and it resonates. It does resonate. It's helping people. It's not just about enjoying something, loving chocolate, right? Or yeah, I love the new girlfriend.
Mhm.
But that makes a lot of sense to me. Just being able to acknowledge, seek, and deliver on doing what you can for the highest good of someone else. Yeah, I love that, Brady. Thank you.
What I've discovered in that is that it really takes both of us, Julie. So in our relationship, I am the owner of Juice. You're a facilitator who does work for us, but you're a contract facilitator. You have your own business. And so let's just take this out for a spin for a second. I would guess that there are times when you actually don't know what your highest good is, because of self-limiting belief, self-doubt. You don't necessarily have a super 100% accurate perception of yourself. But I don't know exactly what your highest good is either. I see you in certain situations. And so the highest good is a bit of a puzzle to be solved together in co-laboring, in co-relation. And for me to be able to spot your true potential and to speak to that and to call it out and to challenge it, and for you to go away and reflect on that, really true based on everything it feels like it's a dialogical process of really getting to what is the highest good, and then the whole thing of how am I going to hold out for your highest good, because that means, oh man, I'm not going to let you away with less than what you've committed to, and that's scary. And can I do that in a way where I don't get all wrapped up in my own identity about holding out for but it's still about you. And so I don't have this all kind of wrapped up in a bow, as you can hear, but it feels to me like it's got to be seeped in mutuality, and it's got to be seeped in reciprocity, and a lot of curiosity versus, oh yeah, I can see what your highest good is. Like, who can say that, right?
Yeah, that's a very interesting thought. Although I am getting a little bit curious in terms of, must it be steeped in reciprocity? Does that mean that we cannot attempt to behave in ways that support the highest good of someone else, even if that isn't reciprocated?
I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people don't always reciprocate, do they?
And I think that part might be, again, what makes a leader's job so hard is, I don't even like Fred, but you still need to lead Fred well.
Mm-hmm.
You still need to do what you have to do to help him grow, to help him be his best, to bring his best. You still need to work with Fred in a way that Fred feels valued, feels important, feels understood.
Yeah.
And do it authentically, which again can be really hard.
Yeah. I love that. I really love what you've called out there, because it feels true to me that love can be spurned. My offers of help and support can be rebuffed. All of my good intentions towards you can be ignored. And you have a massive free will that you can do that, right? So yeah, there's no saying that. I guess maybe when love works, there's reciprocity. When it's really working well, then there's that level of mutuality and reciprocity. But to your point, I think we're still called to love people whether they reciprocate or not. That's a challenge.
It is.
Yeah, but that's a beautiful wish for the world. Thank you. And boy, can we ever use more of that right now.
Agreed.
Julie Dupont, thank you so much. And to all of our listeners, I hope that you have enjoyed Julie's story. A 16 or 17-year-old girl sitting in a classroom gets lit up and goes on a journey of making an impact in people's lives, and really seeing how your giftings, your talents, and that drive, that energy within you has brought you to the place that you are. It's just beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brady. I appreciate the opportunity to share.
Yeah.